And live. We're live again. Welcome back. 9 o'clock every night. Benny's live stream. And of course, we need to start with the jingle. Play the jingle for you.
It's Benny's live stream. Broadcasting live every night at 9 p.m. Central European Time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you want to join me on YouTube, go to my bio here on Instagram and be part of the live stream on YouTube. I just need to figure out a couple things right here. Okay, so I don't want my microphone to be gated today. Once again, YouTube live link is in my bio. Check it out. And we're live on YouTube already. And I can see some folks already joined in. I hope you had a wonderful day. I don't know why Mark Staffwack is still mentioned in the chat. So welcome back to my live stream number 31 on Instagram and number 9 on YouTube already. Can you believe it? I didn't. And I gotta say one more time, it's been so much fun already to do this daily live stream ever since I gotten into quarantine here in Germany on our complete lockdown. It feels very, very weird to not be able to play live because I'm a musician that's usually playing up to, I don't know, like 3 to 4 shows a week. So to me that feels very, very strange at the moment, and not being able to play live. And yeah, anyway, so we're making the best out of the situation, and I probably would have never started these live streams if we didn't end up in this had not ended up in this situation. And so in a way, I'm actually very thankful for this to happen. And yeah, so welcome back to my daily live stream. Once again, let me play the jingle because it's been so much fun.
It's Benny's live stream. Broadcasting live every night at 9 p.m. Central European Time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in. Once again, if you're watching from Instagram, check out the link in my bio. You have much better sound quality, much better image quality on YouTube Live. So go ahead, check the link in my bio right now, Instagram, and welcome YouTubers. I'm live here every night to 9 p.m. Central European Time. So what we're gonna do today? I was asking some folks on Instagram to answer the question what I would do tonight, what I should do tonight, because I actually didn't know. It's hard to come up with a different topic for every night, and I guess like we run into like some repetition of the topics, but other than that, it's very challenging to just find another topic for every day. And today I received a message like asking about my practice routine on bass, my approach on improvising, my actually like more bass stuff. And I wanted to pick this up, and let me grab my bass. Why not? This is my bass. You guys know it. You guys have seen it a couple times now. Cable is stuck. So I wanna make a short journey into my modern bass player workshop that I did a couple times now, and this workshop actually should have been taken place in April, but obviously like the volume 2 of this workshop should have taken place in April, but obviously for obvious reasons I couldn't do it. So I thought, why not putting parts of it out on YouTube? I don't want to be a like classical, I don't know, like educator on YouTube, because I still want to promote my stuff as an artist, and want to show you most of my songs and how I come up with songs, because that's my most important topic. And it's basically what I spend my whole day doing. So I do write all the time. I do produce all the time. I do a lot of mixing, and I very much appreciate the time that I'm able to spend on my music, on my original music, because that's the most important part for me of my life, and it also gives me back so much. But obviously, you guys are very, very interested in some bass stuff. Some of you know me for the Martin Miller videos, and of course, I don't want to let you down, and I want to show you a little bit of what I do on bass, and how my practice routine looks like, and stuff like that. So, um, first of all, I don't really have like a classical practice routine, like something I do every day. Um, I don't have it, and most of the pros I ended up talking to, um, most of them, other than Yannick Wisdala, ended up saying, oh, life is what it is sometimes, and you are not able to do all the practices all the time. So you need to adjust your practice routine to what your life looks like at the moment. So there are days that, that I don't pick up the bass at all. There are days that I spend hours and hours of practicing stuff that I hear in my head, and just wanna create on the fingerboard. There are days that I only play bass for recording. There are some days I only play bass for finding new bass lines. But to me, that's not practicing. That's not a practice routine. To me, practice routine means picking up your bass and get inspired from the instrument. And I think that's way more important than like checking on scales daily. I don't say this is not important. It's very important for muscle memory. It's very important for overview of the fingerboard. It's very important to get all of this in your system. But more importantly, I think it's very important that you get your stuff together and know the purpose of all this. So you should know why you do something instead of just doing the thing itself. So let me first focus on rhythm. I'm gonna pull up a practice out of the modern bass workshop that I do. This might take a second. Sorry for that. I didn't prepare that. Need to find a Logic project real quick. Oh, let me find it here. Modern bass workshop. Doesn't find anything. Cool. Okay, I don't find it at the moment. Must be somewhere. The production folder. I think it's in media. Sorry about that. I'll be brought some time. It's another hard drive. Okay, so while this is loading, how have you been? How is the situation with Corona at your place? Leave a comment, let me know. And I'm gonna pull up the project in the meantime. Here we go. Okay, cool. Got it. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is a common chord progression that we're going to work with. And we're going to switch through some levels of rhythm. And this is going to be very, very practical instead of just giving you some theoretical information about rhythm. So because I'm a very practical person, I guess. So let me show you. It's a little loud. It's just a second. Let me turn it down the master. Here we go. Okay, it's a basic groove. Very simple. Okay, it's a very simple groove, as you can hear. And there's a couple things we can take into consideration if we find a bass line for that. First of all, let's get some harmony in there too. And I brought you some different kind of genres. Here we go. That's too simple. Let me get for something modern. Okay, so I just plugged in my bass. Here we go. It's A, F sharp, D, E. So the easiest thing to do now would be to just sit on the kick drum, right? So just double the rhythm of the kick drum. So why not do that? Here we go. Very simple. Okay, so what I get asked all the time is how to combine the root notes. So there's a couple things you need to take into consideration. Well, first of all, you need to be aware of the key that the song is in. So in this case, we're in the key of F sharp minor or A major. I like to call it A major because it feels like home at A. And you must be dependent on you must be hearing your inner voice, what kind of center it leads you to. So just because it's A major for me doesn't mean you feel at home at A major. You can also feel at home at F sharp minor, which is the second chord of this progression. Why not? I mean, it's the exact same notes, and you don't need to be scared of playing any wrong note if you play either one of them. Okay, so this said, all the chords are in this progression are diatonic, which means they're part of the key. So if we say this in steps, we have, like, if we call it A major, we have first step, we have the 6, we have the 4, 5, and we go back to 1. So if you know about that, that is something very, very helpful. And also, I want to combine this with a bass practice now. So try playing the root notes in just one position. So let's try. I use the A major position. Why not? That's good. Still in the position. So this is very, very simple, right? Let's try that in the F sharp minor position. Why not? So very simple too, right? Why not? I mean, it's very, very simple. Try that out. So once again, what I get asked all the time is how to combine, how to find lines in between those notes. And there's a couple things you can do. You can use the scale, obviously, because all the notes that are in the scale are never wrong, right? Sometimes they sound better at a certain position than at another position, but they're still right notes, right? Okay, so let's try to be in the key and play some combinations between the roots. So all of these combinations were from the A major or F sharp minor scale. So we can use that to make a combination. We can also use chromaticism. Why not? Why not? Works perfectly fine, right? So what I was trying to say is that as long as you keep the main rhythm going, which is, and sorry, my bass is set up very horrible at the moment. I need to adjust the string height, but I think you still can hear it. As long as this keeps being where it should be, that's very stable, right? So, but the main point is now, how can you make this bass line more interesting? How can you achieve like a more modern sound? How can you go for that? And there's a couple decisions you can make. We made the decision that we wanted our groove to be exactly on the kick drum pattern, which is a very, very stable thing to do, right? And it's a very common thing to do as well. You can do that. Why not? But it's a lot more interesting if you try to develop contrast between the bass elements, which are usually only the kick drum and the bass. So why not avoid every hit of the kick drum? Why not? Need to think of that. I mean, why not? Right? That sounds more interesting. Also, it's a lot more possibilities to be conflictive about the vocals, about the pattern of the synth. So let's check out what happens if we jump on the pattern of the synth. Now if we combine those two. It's very not easy. Why not? That's perfectly fine, and I find that a lot in modern music, that the bass is actually part of the melodic rhythm structure. So meaning that the bass is often jumping on the rhythm of a synth or on a guitar or any other kind of melodic element of the song. So I think that's very interesting, and it immediately makes the song and the sound a little more modern. So let's check that out if we change the groove a little bit. So let's go for something like that. It's a 4-on-the-floor groove. So we have a lot of liberty here, a lot of freedom to play around with that. So let's jump on the rhythm of this synth again. Now kick drum. Very simple, very, very stable, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But as soon as you think about how to make your sound modern, I think that is something you need to take into consideration about the decision making, if you want to be stable or if you want to be not very stable and pull up a contrast to the other bass elements in the song. Because usually the contrasts are most interesting in a song. And you saw me doing that 100 times when I writing songs. I often go for a bass line that's very independent and that has some potential conflicts with a vocal or with another element in the song. But if you choose it wisely and if you leave some space in the right spots, this can be something very powerful and very unique. So, and I'm always trying to find something very unique for a song. So I'm still trying to serve the song, obviously, but sometimes it's just cool to break some rules. This is very cool too. So the classical approach would be go on the kick pattern. Boom, boom. Why not? That would be the classical approach, right? And this perfectly fine. But let's try something else. So this is a completely different thing now, right? And it's becoming very, very unique. And it's also a matter of style. So if you're actually able to do that, because most of the times it will be very unnecessary to do those things. So it really, really depends on the musical situation. But I'm just giving you some stuff to think about making choices. And so these are some choices that I take into consideration. Okay, so let me take, maybe we have another groove. What's that? Oh yeah, it's straight rock. Okay, why not? Let's take this shuffled hip hop. It's a shuffled hip hop groove. Very cool. Let me pull up the roads. Okay, synth is cooler. First approach. Very simple, right? Now let's spice it up. Why not? So what I did is I just did something contrary to the kick drum pattern. So I wanted to create a contrast, and I did that on purpose because I thought jumping on the kick drum pattern is a very stable thing, but I wanted to be unstable. So let's try something else. What I guess get asked all the time is fills. How do I approach fills? First of all, you need to have like a little bit of awareness of the key, but my approach of learning how to improvise some fills is go with the chords, the chord notes first. So harmonically speaking, let's try a fill. Okay, I just play along and I tell you what I do. I'm starting a fill on third of E major. Again. So this is going to be a very simple fill, third of every chord. Let's play a triad. So this is very, of course, this sounds very, very planned and very not intuitious. But this is like a good starting point where you can train your intuition, because you never fail if you start a fill on these notes, and if you land on the note you should be landing on, you basically can do whatever you want, and it's again a choice of being stable, like choosing one of the chord tones, for example, or choosing to be not stable and do something crazy. So let's check that out. Let me just enable the gate of the vocals real quick so I can turn it up here a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. So let me do something very stable. Very stable. Now I switch to unstable. very unstable, right? But as long as you land on the note you should be landing on, you should be all right. And I want to encourage you a lot to experiment with that. And to be quite honest, that's the way I learned how to play in the first place. I just played along to records that I loved. I figured out the bass line somehow, and I just fooled around. And I remember having one of these Discmans back in the day, and I would put the earbuds into my ear and put my large headphones up above them. So I would plug in my bass into my small little Ibanez amplifier back in the day, and plug in the headphones directly into the amplifier. And then I will play along to the song that I was listening to. And that way I could, doing it this way, I could really, really dig into that feeling of being on stage with the musicians and like having a conversation. Often I close my eyes and I developed some visual stuff that just works for me. And a lot of this ended up being like the pentatonic scale because it's so intuitious, and it lies perfectly around the fingerboard, all over the fingerboard on the bass, because we have a symmetrical tuned instrument. And so let me play this. Let me play this tune one more time, and let me just fool around with some crazy fills, whatever can come up with. And I want to switch between something very stable and very unstable, and unstable, whatever. You know what I mean. Here we go. Unstable. More stable. All right, so here you have it. There you have it. It's a switching back and forth between a very stable variation and a not stable variation. And you can do the exact same thing. So most of the times I did it with harmony right now. So let me try doing it with rhythm. So, and I guide you along to the ideas, and I want to really, really plan this out for you guys. So check it out. Simple groove again. So now I want to do a fill with 8 notes. Starting on the third. Beautiful. Very stable. On the fifth. Cool. Again on the fifth. A little bit of chromaticism. Still very, very simple. Now, why not do a triplet? Like a eighth note triplet. Why not dug into that feeling a little bit, just to have some swing all over the fill. Drummers do that all the time. They play around between the swing feel and the straight feel all the time. Why shouldn't we? Okay, let's not overdo it. A combination of both eighth notes and eighth triplet. Okay, cool. So let's jump into the 16th level. Why not? Very stable too. Even could put in a little more notes. That's cool too, right? So what I'm trying to say is that as long as you land on the notes you should be landing on, it really doesn't matter which scale you play, which notes you play in general. I mean, of course it does matter, but that should give you some security to play around with these ideas and make those choices on your own, because these notes, the root notes that we're so used to as bass players, these are just our guiding lines, and we should experiment with them just as a drummer experiments with rhythm, as a piano player experiments with harmony, a sax player only plays around with melodies, so he doesn't necessarily think about any root notes. I guess he does, but as soon as it comes to improvising, I think that's a very, very good thing to do. And also when you're soloing, I I see a lot of bass, and I hear a lot of bass players doing this. Let me just put in a root note bass line just to do, and I'm gonna go for this hip hop groove I like. Okay, this being a little modern, that's cool. Let me put in a bass line real quick. Okay, so this is a simple bass line just to play along with. Go. And I hear a lot of bass players doing this. They start everything based around the root note. Because we're so used to that, right? We're used to playing root notes. So why not experiment with the chord tones first? Let's play a line from the third. Once again. So this is all based around the third. This itself is so much more interesting, right? Let's play from the fifth. Third. 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 Fifth. 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 So, this is very interesting too, right? I think the third is much more interesting than the fifth, but as you can play around between the two of them, you never be wrong. And you can come up with cool melodies as well. But the magic actually happens if you put another step on that, if you go for the seventh. So as speaking in A major, we have the G sharp as the major 7. We have the E. Oh, I do mean the third note. So, you know, the major third of A is C sharp. The minor third of F sharp minor is A. The major third of D is F sharp, and the major third of E is G sharp. So I'm talking about them, just because somebody asked in the comments. So yeah, it's very interesting. I was with seventh, so let's play around G sharp on A major. Then we have the E on F minor 7. We have I don't know, like usually it should be a C sharp during the D major, having like another major chord, and E should be E7. So why not? Let's try. Sorry. Here we go. Interesting, right? So let's play around with the chord tones. And here I went into some lines, and you could immediately hear the difference. So I think it's a very cool thing to switch between chord tones and scales if you have the knowledge, but found a knowledge on the chord tones, because the chord tones are a very, very solid foundation to develop chord progressions, develop good feel about playing over chords, and lead you very, very nicely into learning scales and modes. And so once again, let me play a little bit, and I tell you exactly when I switch from chord tones to scales. Chords. Scale. Chords. Scaled. Ah. So these were all kinds of stuff. I played scale. I played a little bit of chromatics lines. I played some intervals, some sequences, and you can come up with all kinds of stuff. But the foundation to that is learn your chord notes, and you're good to go. So yeah, I want to leave you off with a little bit of free improvising over that, and I hope you got something out of this lesson. So once again, train your intuition. I think it's the most important thing. It leads you very far away, and I think it's the best way to learn an instrument. Try to give names to what you learn from your intuition. That's very powerful. Check it out. Thank you. All right, so this is it. This is it. I think hopefully that's a good approach on training your intuition. Brought me a very far way, so check it out. And if you want to have any of these backing tracks, just let me know. Shoot me a DM and I can send it over to you to play along to. It's a very, very easy chord progression. It's all in A major, F sharp minor, D major, and E. Other than that, thank you so much for joining in today. As usual, it's been so much fun doing these live streams for a month straight now. Can you believe it? It's number 9 on YouTube, and I hope you enjoyed it just the way I did. Here we go with the jingle. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you tomorrow.
It's Benny's Livestream. Praktische live en Nederlands Central European.
Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.